So last time we have seen the compression examples. So let's see how does the general model for compression looks like. So as you can see, the original text, the data can be anything. Text, it can be audio, it can be a video, it can be anything which you want to compress. So then we have a compressor here, which will be implementing a different compression algorithms. Basically, this compressor will have lot of inputs. I mean, depending on your data, up to what amount you want a compression ratio, how much fidelity you want, how much noise you can tolerate. So this will have lot of inputs as such. Then you have compressed text. So because in the here original it was mentioned as the text, here also it is mentioned as a text only. So after going through the compression algorithms, you will have a compressed text here. So this model, the purpose of this model was just to tell you whatever you are going to compress, you are supposed to at the receiving side, you are going to get a original text back. So we have to design or we have to compress in a such a manner that the decompressor should be doing exact reverse procedure of this. So you send a compression text to the person or you transmit the compressed text. Decompression algorithm, we are assuming that it will be reverse of this compressor and it will give you the original text back. Now the main purpose of this video to tell you the classification. If you remember in the second video, there was one classification which was mentioned called as a lossy or lossless. So as the name tells you, lossless, you will have certain loss. So for example, when we have consider here original text, so we say that we will be getting back the original text after decompression, but in the lossy compression, you will be losing a significant amount of your original data. When you talk about lossless, we are saying there will be no loss, or not a single character, not a single digit, not a single characteristic of that particular data will be lost. So why do you require? I mean, why? Where are these things used? So whenever we talk about legal or medical document, we expect that there should not be a single loss. Legal documents definitely because you don't know which line is important. Medical, of course, the doctor will not like it if you from the original data you are giving only a 75% of the data, because they always say you should always be truthful or you should always tell everything to your lawyer and your doctor. Computer programs, yes, you can assume, suppose if I give a lab handout, if I give you a sample program, and if I delete 2-3 important lines of it, your program will never run. So when we talk about redundancy, which we have seen, we say that lossless compression deals only with the data redundancy, or we exploit the data redundancy. We will try to find out which data is reoccurring in the original data. Can we replace it with something else? Coming to the second classification, that is a lossy compression. So lossy compression, as the name suggests, yes, we can tolerate some of the other loss here. For example, you have digital audio, image, video where some errors or loss can be tolerated. I already gave you example of a HD video. When we say HD video, there are 30 frames per second are played. So if I delete certain frames from every seconds, like for example 30 frames per second, instead of that I show you 25 frames per second. So nobody will be able to find out that I have eliminated or I have deleted 5 frames. So we say that we exploit data as well as human perception property. Data redundancy, because probably every second the frame which I'm going to say, probably most of the 80% of the data will be same. And human perception, because you cannot detect the difference between 25 frames per second and 30 frames per second. Practical terms, one more classification, a constant bit rate versus variable bit rate, depend when you are transmitting this. So how does the compression is happening? Whether you are compressing every time with the same amount of data, you are working with the same amount of data and compressing, or you are working with a variable amount of data. Logical versus physical. Whenever I say that, before going for the compression, I read out the complete data. I try to understand what are the characteristics of the data. I read the data as a whole, and then I try to find out, okay, how this can be represented. That is a logical. When I don't worry about the data, I just look at the physical structure of the data. I don't find anything logical in that. I don't find any reasoning. I go for a physical compression. So physical compression, we say that it acts directly on the data. It is a question of storing the redundant data from one bit pattern to another. Logical compression is carried out by logical reasoning or substituting this information with equivalent. For example, is voice box parameter. What do you mean by box parameter? If you want to, suppose I tell you that whatever I say, all my lecture information you want to compress. So definitely it will have all the English characters in it. So instead, if you go for compressing each one of my lecture, it will take a huge amount of time. Instead of that, if you just find out of how does my voice box acts, how does I pronounce, how does it sound, what is the way in which the sound comes from my voice box, that will be called as a logical compression. Then you have a symmetric as well as asymmetric. In case of symmetrical compression, we say that whatever method we have used to compress, the reverse steps will be followed for the decompression. That is a symmetric compression. Then you have very important, which we will be working with the syllabus, that is a non-adaptive and adaptive. So certain compression algorithms are based on dictionaries that are there for specific type of data. These are non-adaptive encoders. Now, what do you mean by non-adaptive encoders, or what does it mean that it is based on a dictionary? For example, if I'm studying for English language, I want to compress a books which is written in English. So I will try to find out what are the words, what are the letters, what are the sentences which are commonly used in English language. So I make a dictionary. So when we have seen one example where we have compressed the word, where we have compressed I in words. So we make a dictionary and we tell whenever this word appears, you can substitute with this. So definitely the occurrence will more depend upon the language in which it is written. Then we have adaptive encoder. So which says that we will not be going for any of the dictionary. We don't have any knowledge of that particular language. So we say that whenever data comes to it, we will adapt to it. We'll read the first sentence. We will try to read two, three more sentences, and then we will probably be making the dictionary. Then you have semi-adaptive dictionary, that you have a dictionary, basic dictionary with you, and you go ahead with the data, and as and when new data comes, as and when new words come, you go on adding it to the dictionary. That is a semi-adaptive encoder. uh, Judging parameters of the performance measures are the same, but more in a technical terms now. uh, we have already discussed this, the complexity, the memory. Yes, this is a new term, compression ratio. For after every compression algorithm, we will be calculating the compression ratio, that is size of the input information upon size of the compressed information. How much you have compressed the data, very important parameter. Redundancy in the data, then you have distortion. We will be studying this in detail when we'll go ahead. Now comes to the important part in the compression algorithm. You have modeling and coding. So one example has been given. Modeling is how do you represent your data? What method you have used? What structure you have going to implement? How are you going to uh, pro, how are you going to write it in a more mathematical equation? That is nothing but as a modeling. Coding, how are you representing the actual data which you have compressed? That is a coding. So once this particular data has been given to you, so as you say, these are all mathematical numbers. So you have 9, 11, 11, then you have 14, 13, 15, 17, 16, 17, 20, 21. So thankfully this is only a limited data which is given to us. So these are all mathematical numbers. So when I start with this data, I know it is not starting with 0, 1, 2. So it has started with 9, and almost after that the numbers are similar, somewhere 2 or 3 has been added to it. So I try to represent with a mathematical equation like this, where I say that n is starting from 1, 2, 3, 4, and my this, that is the expected value, can be represented by this equation. So when I substitute n is equal to 1 here, so I get the first value. When I substitute 2 equals here, I get 10 here. Then I substitute 3 equals, I get a 11 here. So when I have written in an equation, I can very well represent in terms of graph. So I have plotted a graph. So these are the actual value which has been plotted. So here you can implement it in two ways. Either I can think of representing it in a mathematical equation, or first I represent it with a graph, and when I look at this graph, I can say that okay, this goes somewhere to the linear equation. So I write down. Now the important part. This is the way I have model my data. Now I will find out error also, because here I can see with this equation I'm going to have certain error. So original data, this is your original data, and this is what you have calculated after using this equation. So when you use n is equal to 1, you get 9. So you have 9 minus 9, which is a 0. Then you write 2, 2 plus 8 is 10. But then your original data is 11. So you write here 11 minus 10, that is 1. So this way, this is your error which has been represented. Now when I look at this error, I can easily say that this error can be represented with three values. One value is 0, one value is 1, and one value is minus 1. So I can represent this entire values if I manage to send this equation, and with this error values I will say I am able to represent the entire data. Now coming back to the next, you have predictive coding. So what does it mean? That once I have certain data, I try to predict which value will be the next. So we have started with 27. So I can say the plus minus things can be done here. So I have represented it with this. When I have plotted with the graph, I don't see any linearity here. So I say that I will send the 27 value as it is. And here you have to go on adding it. So plus 1 gives me a 28. So add plus 1 to the previous value, it gives me 29. Add minus 1 to the previous value, it gives me 28. So this is the data which I'll be sending to the receiver. So I'll be sending first value as 27, and then I will be sending 1 minus 1 or minus 2 value to the receiver. This is the way we have it. So here what are we using? We are predicting value. We have seen the data and we are saying we will be using a predictive coding model. So I think these for this particular session, these things are sufficient, modeling and coding. So next lecture onwards we will start with the dictionary coding.